It's okay not to know. A talk with Unmani.
Because I wanted to say to the world, it's okay not to know. We can live like that. Because I was always struck by how the seeming normal way of being in the world is to think that we know. In other words, to operate from the thinking, as if the thinking has all the answers. And it always feels limited. It can be very convincing. The thinking seems to know a lot of information and can remember all kinds of concepts to regurgitate. It can be extremely creative and imagine all kinds of possibilities. But when you really feel into the energy of the thinking, in a way where it comes from, it feels very limited and kind of stiff. Like it's just up here, actually. It's just obviously, just from the head. And it really has that flavor of kind of like contraction when we are just operating and speaking and living and believing our thoughts. And so for me, it always felt like this is not the whole picture, that there's something very strange going on, that people seem to revere the thinking as if it's what it's all about. And when we acknowledge that actually the thinking doesn't have all the answers, it's trying desperately to know it all, but it's only doing that because the reality is that it doesn't have all the answers. It doesn't know the nature of life. It doesn't know who we really are. It doesn't know why we are here or how it all works really. And because it doesn't know, it fills the gap with all kinds of other information, all kinds of guesses, all kinds of beliefs and concepts, because it can feel very frightening to really not know, or to really acknowledge that the truth is that I don't know, and that actually life is happening out of control, that I can't try to control and make it how I want it to be. I can't protect myself by using all my thoughts and concepts, because essentially they don't protect me. And when we go even deeper, we can see that the one that I'm trying to protect is in fact also just a thought, a belief. And when we really acknowledge this, there's just this free-falling, emptiness, nothingness, not knowing. And at first, yes, it can be frightening to acknowledge this. But if we're willing to feel the fear and stay in that not knowing, there's a wide open space. There is a dropping from the head down into the body, to feeling, sensing, living in an unprotected way, not knowing how to be, who I am, what it all means, or where it's all going, not having anything to hold on to or to refer to. And yet, here I am, in this moment. That's all I know. And who am I? I don't know. I am. Just simply I am. Nothing to do and nowhere to go. And yet life unfolds, right? The next thing happens. The human experience goes on. Our plans for this and that, and our life ups and downs and challenges, the interactions that we have with others, our work, our relationships, life goes on. And still, it's happening in this wide open space of not knowing. The thinking plays the game as if I'm someone in the world, as if I'm someone who knows. But beyond all of that, there's a knowing that knows that there is nothing to know. There's no way of knowing that it's just a game, as if I'm someone who lives in time in the world, that is doing this or that is going somewhere. So really this message, this teaching, is about discovering that we don't know and learning to relax into that and to live as and from that in our lives. And there's no formula. There's no step one, step two. There's no way that we can get there or do it, become it, which is frustrating for the mind because it would like to have something to do or somewhere to go. But to really acknowledge that there's nothing to know, it seems actually quite difficult for the thinking, even though, of course, it's the most simple thing to acknowledge that you don't know. It's already the case. Actually, it's so easy. But for the thinking, it's very difficult. So the thinking goes on thinking it knows. But when you see that the thinking is just a tool for being in the world, then you acknowledge that actually there is the not knowing beyond the thinking. So we don't take the thinking so seriously or meaningfully. And there is only not knowing. And of course, in that not knowing is a different kind of knowing that is expansive, that is embracing of everything, that can't be grasped by the thinking, and yet it's known in not knowing.